Hey there guys, and welcome to another video. In these videos I'm documenting my journey to build a giant golden throne diorama from the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Over the past few weeks I've been hard at work finishing certain areas of the project and expanding on what we've already done. Before we get started today, I'd just like to thank everyone who tuned into my last video, which at time of recording has over 50,000 views. Alright, that being said, let's jump back into it. So the first area of the build that's seen some attention recently is the mid-level of the pyramid leading up to the golden throne. I decided to expand on the walkway sections and start gluing pieces down to prepare for the painting stage of the project. This decision to expand the walkway section was so that it would overhang the bottom half of the pyramid. This was done to help encompass the arched facade that's going to partially obscure all the cables and machinery underneath. With this, I can tuck the arches underneath the walkways and make them blend more seamlessly. Another advantage is that this gives me a lot more floor space on this level and allows me to add more cogitators and, more importantly, more custodies. Once the floor panels were set in place, I set about sticking down some balustrades along the outer and inner edges of the pyramid. These look good, but trust me when I tell you they took more than a little bit of fiddling with to accurately get lined up. After that impromptu test of my patience, I moved back onto the task of completing the cabling for the project. I really had to knuckle down with this because it seems to be an element of the project that I drift in and out of trying to complete. Over the past few weeks it's been heading in the right direction as I've been pre-rolling my green stuff cables a day or two before use. This allows me to cut them to size and glue them down easily. Along with this, I've also peppered in some various greeblies and machinery looking bits to help cover some gaps. This also helps add some intrigue instead of just a mass of cables. I've been using strips of plasticard to help cover any sins, such as gaps between the cables and their connection points. Speaking of plasticard, I'm genuinely kicking myself that I've only started incorporating it into the project recently. It's dead handy, and it comes in various shapes and sizes that fit seamlessly into the project. I have to give full credit to Dan for introducing me to this stuff, as it's also definitely improved the quality of the diorama. As you can see here, I've used some plasticard pipes in conjunction with some spare balustrades that I turned upside down. I used these to complete the landing on the first floor of the pyramid. I managed to get my hands on some plasticard sheets embossed with a checkered plate design. These are fantastic for filling the void between the plastic walkways and the second level of the ziggurat. I'm really happy with how this look turned out, and there's no doubt I'll be using it in other parts of the project. Alright, let's talk about statues and cakes. Whilst out and about, I found a selection of old cake pillars in a local charity shop. These happen to be the perfect dimensions for the diorama, as well as having a suitable aesthetic. I figured that with a coat of gold and a statue or custody on the top, these would make for a great addition, and for £3 I feel like it's worth the gamble. After completing two and adorning them with statues, I don't think I was wrong either. I think it's about time for a light spot of painting. The diorama has these two little voids between the floor tiles that I've been wanting to do something with for a while now. I began by clearing off the ground floor of the project, which I note has become a bit of a storage space by now, and started to sand everything down. Once this was complete, I came back in with a black primer to cover the area. Eventually, I intend to paint these voids as if a white light is emanating up from deep within the bowels of the throne room. For now though, we're just going to leave them black until we reach the full-blown painting stage of the build. Let's get some more machines in here. I came across these pieces of AdMech scenery from the Kill Team Salvation box set. I bought these pieces earlier in the year with the sole purpose of using them on the project, but I just ended up completely forgetting about them. When these arrived, they didn't actually come with any building instructions included, so I had to, yet again, wing it a little bit. Turns out this kit is surprisingly easy to put together, so it didn't end up causing me any fuss anyway. Much like the tech priests in the throne room, I have no idea what any of these do. But that doesn't matter as long as they work. On the subject of AdMech, I'm of the firm belief that this throne room needs an experienced tech priest to boss everyone around and make sure things get fixed. Well, thanks to Nurbster, that's exactly what we have. Nurbster has been working for quite some time on this custom tech priest for the diorama. This miniature's been kit bashed using a multitude of different pieces and some incredible green stuff work. He even has a few companions. Once painted up, this miniature's going to look amazing, and he's definitely going to be one of the highlights of the diorama. So thank you again Nurbster for absolutely knocking it out of the park with that one. I'll leave Nurbster's Instagram in the description so you can check out his work for yourself. Next we attempt to tackle, or at least partially tackle, the arched facade at the front of the ziggurat. I've been experimenting with a few different designs over the past few weeks, but I haven't committed to anything permanently yet. My first idea was to follow an arch design similar to the one featured in Neil Roberts' Golden Throne artwork, but over time I've been leaning more towards something a bit more gothic and grimdark. My reasoning is that the Golden Throne appearance would have changed drastically over the 10,000 years since the Emperor was interred there. With the loss of knowledge and superstition creeping in, I felt as though the throne room would no longer resemble a high-tech looking machine, and would have become more of a giant Baroque sarcophagus. To reflect this, I've been cutting out and modifying wall sections from the mid-2000s Imperial sector terrain, more specifically the Shrine of the Aquila. I feel these pieces have just the right amount of gothic we need, and once finished properly will be a good option for our arched facade. Finally, the last thing we've done since our last update video is give the project a final coat of gold to cover all the newly added pieces, leaving us with this. I've added a few shots with some custodies standing guard for those of you interested in scale. So that about brings us up to date this week, though we have some pretty big additions in the pipeline. Stay tuned for those. I post pretty regular updates on my social media pages, so I'll put a link to those in the description for those of you who want to keep up to date with what's going on. If you're enjoying the project, consider liking and subscribing. I also have a Patreon page with a bunch of wonderful supporters who are helping to bring this project to fruition. So a massive thank you to those guys too. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.